3. Okay, so back in September I made this marble maze for the one ball bearing that I had, and it works fine. It's doable, if a little frustrating. Nice way to spend, damn it, a couple of hours, probably longer, just kind of sitting around and doing nothing. The complaint I had with this is it's quite a heavy piece for what it is, so I rethought that on a slightly smaller scale, and I purchased some 7mm ball bearings, and those are on an ideal size for a 1cm grid, and I built this on a 1cm grid. Now the individual block pieces, I ended up cutting just the blocks rather than the whole thing. Unlike with my original, I didn't have such a big intricate design of blocks, so it's easier to just cut the pieces out and then stick them on. And a lot of the kind of walls in this are actually lolly sticks, so that worked out quite well. A lolly stick split in half is about right for one of these walls, so that's good, that works. And I made sure to check the path each time I stuck something down to make sure that everything kind of moved and I could actually get the ball through. And yeah, as usual, I made this a lot more intricate than I really needed to. Even with the lolly stick walls, this is a fairly complicated maze, but in theory it should have worked. I've got 5 oubliette, 5 dungeon holes, whatever you want to call them, in each of the 4 main sides. The entryway is just a spiral going in 2 directions, and then the oubliette at the bottom here. Now the idea of making this was essentially to use up the last little bit of plexiglass I had left over from the big one. And I've done that. I'm not entirely satisfied with this. When it came to finishing, I layered on a massive amount of paint, which didn't help much because the paint has caused the wood to expand slightly, so I then had to retrim a lot of the pieces to make sure that the ball would run through. And it kind of looks a mess now. So the plan was good, but execution not so good. And it just doesn't work as a maze. Obviously the ball's going to move around it, but the idea of having the ball moving from one side to another doesn't really work that well. And if you just keep it tipped upside down, you don't need to worry about the holes. Not that this will fall down the holes, because as I said, the wood has expanded under the paint. So yeah, it was a fair bit of work to do this. I'm kind of disappointed that I've wasted the plexi, but it was a learning experience, and I've still got 5 of these 7mm ball bearings, and I've worked out a technique for making a good maze. So at some point in the future I will obviously be making another maze, but probably not with oubliette holes, more like a solving maze rather than a trap maze. And I think on a slightly smaller scale. At least that's the plan. So yeah, this one I decided to make it extra complicated by cutting each face on a 45-degree angle in order to try and fit them into the cube, which really didn't work. A scroll saw is not intended for cutting diagonals on very, very, very thick wood, and the equivalent of 3 or 4 layers of ply here on a diagonal is about an inch worth of thickness, which is really not advisable in a scroll saw. So yeah, bad idea. and it did cause some of the blocks to come off. I was expecting that as I made it anyway, but I didn't lose as many as I was expecting. But in the end, it still really didn't work as I would like. So yeah, this is a good project and a good practice of various techniques. But as with most projects, when you come to the end, you need to look at it and go, would I happily sell this? Would I happily give this as a gift? And the honest answer is no, I wouldn't. I'll keep it down the shed as a reminder that the old adage of KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to keep up with that for the rest of the year, possibly longer. So simple is best, I think, in most occasions. There's still some times where I'm going to go a little crazy, but that's to be expected. That's what you expect when you watch my videos. There's always going to be some nuttiness and some absolute insanity, and this kind of falls under that bracket. So yeah, it's a talking piece, not exactly a sellable item. Oh well, I'll see you again next week.